All right, welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Under the Dome. I'm your host, Alan Ulrich, here with Bob Rose for a change. It's Thanksgiving week. Bob works in a. Do you work in a mall? I mean, is it, or it's a separate store?
Yeah, it's a standalone jewelry store. I will not go back to a mall. I will sooner hang myself off my third story deck. Uh,
Well,
but yeah, to pick up some extra money, that I've lost during the cowardly lies of Kyle T. Mosley, and the bullshit pulled by Athlon and the money lost with USA Today by me not being able to write because of a total technology crash. Yeah, I'm trying to instead of only working a couple days a week at Jared just to help out a friend. Now those friends are helping me out by working me 30 plus hours a week. Uh, and listen, Lord knows I've worked more in retail, but balancing that with home life and parent and media, it's murder right now.
yeah, because I was just going to say, the big thing. It's the holidays, so jewelry stores, the mall, um, any retail. It's just this is when it gets serious. This is when it gets bad. So
Hmm.
I'm not basically. I'm saying Bob may not be around as much based on how many hours he's got to work right now. Because I remember my days in the mall, and yeah, it used to be 9 o'clock closing time. It'd be 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock
Yep.
closing time.
Yep, and
If
a
you
lot of
work.
those years when I was working 60 and 65 plus hours, at mall jewelry stores, I'd be working, 8 a.m. to 10 or 11 p.m. shifts, 4 or 5 days a week,
Hmm,
with my shorter day being half that and getting one day off.
yeah,
I can't pull that stuff off anymore. But like I said, just the balance of the feral life of retail, with media and trying to squeeze in rest when I can. It's a nightmare scenario right now.
I did that. Saturdays were the worst. Working open till 6. And then somebody would come in at 4 and work 4 to close. So
Hmm.
yeah, remember those days quite well. That's all I got to like Chick-fil-A. I mean, honestly, they were right there next to us. So it's
I
like
was a Subway
that's
guy, so yeah.
that smell would just be there all day, and then
Hmm.
somebody would sit out there with the tray, of free samples to give out there. I don't think they even do that anymore. But back
No.
then, you'd have a tray of nuggets, free samples, and you could stand out in front of the storefront. You could only go to what they call the lease line,
Yes.
but you could stand out there, and man, I'd start talking to the girls and take one, eat that, and take another and eat that, and they're like, "Yeah, go ahead and have them all. I can go in there faster this way," you know. So the good old days of college and high school, working the mall. Um, well, Bob, we didn't get a chance to sit and talk about the Carolina Panthers game, and I kind of wrote this show called "I Go to Extremes" because as good as they played against Carolina, and then the following week while we're on a bye, Carolina completely destroys Atlanta. I mean, Bryce Young like an MVP candidate, almost 450 yards passing or something ridiculous like that, and they then we're going to go against Atlanta. They've lost 5 straight. They lost their quarterback. They lost their best receiver. This should have been a win. I
Hmm.
mean, Tyler Shough looked great. The offense was clicking. Um, we should, and statistically, it looks like we beat Atlanta,
Yeah.
but offensively, they were terrible. And it wasn't on Tyler Shough. It felt like it was really on the play calling um, by Kellen Moore, because I said this during because I was at the game. Where's John Butler? I was at the game, but I said when Alvin Kamara goes out with the injury, I said, "Oh shit." that means we're not going to have much of a running game. And sure enough, for the next quarter and a half, I think maybe he called 2 running plays total. Every other play was a pass play. And then we come out in the third quarter, 16-10. And then we run nothing but running plays for almost 15 plays to get to the goal line. And he takes Tyler Shough out, puts Taysom Hill in, doesn't hand the ball off to Devin Neal. Taysom Hill doesn't get very much. Never threw the ball one time to anybody. And we did this twice. I think Atlanta had the ball for 3 plays the entire third quarter. Something ridiculous like that. And we got 3 points out of the whole quarter. Where do you go with this? How do you explain this? I mean, I was just at a total loss on what happened out there.
Yeah, it's infuriating. I mean, first of all, the offensive line played maybe their poorest outing of the season as a whole. I'll give Atlanta credit for the defensive strategy of just bringing they blitzed Shough right out of the locker room and they did not stop. But for you brainless morons that are saying, that are now down on Shough after being so up on him, last week, Shough looked like what he is, a rookie quarterback making his 3rd start for an undermanned team. Could Tyler have played better? Yeah. I'm not even going to go as far as say he regressed though. He still made some off balance, some nice off balance throws. Like I said, like as you would expect a rookie under duress to do, he put the ball up for grabs where he shouldn't have a couple of times. But I'm not going to put this loss on him. I'm going to put this loss on the coaches, specifically Kellen Moore. And you kind of wrapped it up in a nutshell, with the strategy, the overall game strategy, and the specific play calling, the situational play calling. This team, both offensively and defensively, special teams too, for that matter, has been like the Keystone Cops when it comes to situational football. Getting off the field on 3rd downs, goal line situations, converting 3rd downs, staying out of 2nd and long, converting field goals, flipping field position on punts. I mean, all of those things. This team has been comically bad in all year long. And this week it was the offense's turn, and Blake Grupe, the offense's turn to be comically bad. I thought Tyler made some good throws. Vele probably had his best game of the year. Devin Neal showed some nice pop in his legs, which I like to see.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited to see that going forward. But as has been the case all year long, Kellen Moore has been unable to adjust to what the other team is doing to him. He gets down into goal line situations. He seems absolutely clueless. Now, and I said this with Jordy Haltberg this morning, I was willing to give the guy a pass for a while, being a first-year head coach. But Kellen Moore has been around football all of his life. He's been a relatively successful offensive coordinator in this league. So that part shouldn't have changed. What has changed? And I'll tell you, and this is also something that I was willing to give Kellen a pass on for the first 4 or 5 weeks. Kellen Moore is absolutely clueless with his offensive personnel. It's like he just stepped into this locker room for the first time last week. He doesn't know what his best players do well, and if he does figure it out, he doesn't utilize it. I'll tell you, the game announcers, Drew Brees and the color as the color analyst. When they said, and I did, when I did my film analysis on the Falcons coming in, I knew that, especially with Bijan Robinson, a lot of their running plays go off tackle. They try to get Bijan in space. I mean, duh, why wouldn't you? Well, the telecast pointed out that over 70% of the Falcons rushing plays come off tackle. Now, obviously, it's not the guys in the booth that do that research. They have their own team. But just that statistic, and again, I didn't track this specific statistic myself, but I wasn't surprised to hear it. I was just astounded to hear that much. And I was equally enraged because you see the way the Falcons use Bijan, the way the Dolphins use Devon Achane coming up this Sunday, the way the Lions use Jahmyr Gibbs. What the hell happened to that kind of usage with a guy named Alvin Kamara? And that is a perfect example of, and this is a problem that goes back several years with the Saints and Kamara now. But in a nutshell, it describes what Kellen Moore doesn't do with his personnel. He didn't use Rashid Shaheed deeper in space. He didn't run an expanded route tree with Chris Olave. He has no idea what to do with Taysom Hill, and he keeps running Alvin Kamara into the teeth of the defense rather than using him as a receiver in space or a runner off tackle. Kellen Moore, and I know you have your own thoughts on Kellen. Kellen Moore seems absolutely clueless. As a head coach, but more alarmingly, the way to use his own personnel.
I said this in my good, bad, and ugly. I said that it seems like Kellen Moore is calling plays as if he's got the Philadelphia Eagles offense in front of him. He's got the Eagles offensive line. He's got Saquon Barkley back there, and he's using Taysom Hill almost like Jalen Hurts, okay? And it's like, Kellen, you last Sunday, you had one starter, a swinging door, and 3 replacement guys out there as your offensive line, and your running back is a rookie, Devin Neal. This is not what you should be doing with this team. You need to figure out what your players do well. And here we are. It's week 12, week 13 we're going into now. Week 13, and you're still calling plays like this. And I heard the post game. He's at the podium post game talking about the 8 opportunities he had in goal-to-goal distance. And it didn't work. And he said, that's on us as coaches for not calling good plays. Okay. But you haven't fixed it. You haven't figured out. Tyler Shough has thrown 0 passes in goal-to-goal situations. One play, I thought he got in before his butt cheek hit down. I thought he broke the plane, but I couldn't tell. I'm looking at a replay on a screen in the stadium. I couldn't tell where the ball was. Maybe the ball was short when he came down. But if you're going to use Taysom Hill, and everyone in the league knows Taysom Hill is going to go between the tackles, why not put Taysom Hill? And you've had him in the backfield with you before.
Yeah.
Why not put Taysom Hill next to Tyler Shough, run an RPO with the line pulling where Taysom is going to go with the fake, and let Shough run a bootleg the opposite way? That's just one way I would use Taysom, because I'm going to take advantage of the fact that the whole defense knows 7's in. We're going to gang tackle 7 wherever he is. So I'm going to run misdirections. One of the genius things of Sean Payton, and I'm sorry I'm going to be comparing him to Sean Payton, but one of the genius things of Sean Payton was he would sit there and look at the film when he would come up with plays. And he did this against Philadelphia in 2017. He did this against the Minnesota Vikings in the playoffs. He did it, in 2018 multiple times, including against the Rams. He would look at tendencies and how teams that did well against whatever team he's playing against, what they did to make it work. and he would incorporate those plays into his game plan.
Mhm.
We're going to run similar plays and see if it breaks the same way for us. Kellen Moore, when he calls plays, seems like he's never looked at a single piece of film. He is going to run when he wants to run, and you just have to stop us. And I've got the 73 Dolphins running back here. So, that was Don Shula's mentality in 1973, where a handful of basic plays, you just got to figure out if you can stop us. Well, you got a Hall of Famer Larry Little, you got Hall of Famer Larry Zonka, you got Hall of Famer Bob Greasy, you got Hall of Famer Paul Warfield. You're not going to be able to stop those players, okay? But we don't have those guys. We've got a Hall of Famer on the other side of the field in Cam Jordan and in Demario Davis, and maybe a Hall of Famer in Alvin Kamara who got hurt. But you don't have Hall of Famers on the offensive line. There's no Jari Evans out there. There's no Willie Roaf. And you certainly don't have Drew Brees out there running the offense. So I don't know why Kellen Moore has the attitude of we're going to be able to impose our will on any team. We can't do that. Not yet. We need more players to do that. So what we need to do then is to trick and scheme things to make plays work. And I'm just an idiot talking on a podcast. I'm not a coach. But if I can say this, why can't Kellen Moore figure this out? I mean, this is a huge red flag.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you get fired within 2 years, because they won't fire him this year. They're not going to. But we're chasing the 1975 Saints as the lowest scoring offense in the past 50 years. That includes Mike Ditka, Bum Phillips, the 1-15 1980 Saints, although they didn't have a problem scoring points. They just couldn't stop anybody.
Right.
So you're talking about an historical level of incompetence. 1976 Saints, where you had Bobby Douglas and Bobby Scott playing quarterback, and they only have 2 wins because of this. And they haven't broken 24 points all season offensively.
Nope.
The Titans and the Saints are the only 2 teams not to score 26 or more points in a game yet this season.
Wow.
And we're going to play each other in a few weeks.
That might be whichever team gets a safety wins the game.
It's going to be the resistible force meets the movable object. Because, and it's weird because after the Carolina game, you thought they figured it out. And this was a team that people were actually seriously talking about, maybe could run the table.
Mm-hmm.
Win 6 or 7 games, piss the tank people off, because you're thinking, okay, we're going to get a top 5 pick. Now it looks like after the Carolina game, it might be a 10, 11, 12 pick if you win that many games. Now we're back to, we're playing for the number 1 overall pick again.
And listen, it's hard to argue that that philosophy right now, because I was one of the ones, when we squeezed in a Bayou Blitz last week, I actually said because the way the Saints schedule lined up the rest of the way, I'm like, you got the Falcons twice, the Panthers again, the Buccaneers, who are like a mash unit right now, and then Titans, Jets, Dolphins, all of whom are just putrid football teams. I'm like, you could actually climb I gave it a slim chance, but I said, you could theoretically climb your way back into the NFC South race. And and now I flipped the script on that. I'm like, and I did say with the caveat, I'm like, well, first and foremost, I would just like to put together back-to-back wins for only the second time in 3 years.
Yeah.
That in itself is mind-boggling. But now you look, the Dolphins are on a mini roll. I don't know how Brandon Staley's defense is going to contain, at Shane or Waddle, because the defense, while playing far better than the offense, they can't stop big plays. They get 2 or 3 big plays against them, and that's game.
But in large part, I was going to say, in large part, it's because your offense can't score points.
Yeah, you're right. But again, situational football on defense is almost as bad as it is on offense. And you look, I think you and I could suit up random family members and go out and beat the Jets right now. The Titans, the Panthers, the Buccaneers. I can't, as we sit here today, I can't, in my right mind, predict the Saints winning any of those games.
Mm-hmm. I know, and that's how I feel right now, because I'm getting picked on by a guy I work with. He's like, the Saints aren't going to win a game, and they won 2. And I told him at the beginning of the season, I counted 5 to 7 games they could win. Now, a couple games I didn't expect that they played better than I expected, but for the most part, those teams, are playing better than I expected. New England's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked at the schedule in the beginning of the season, and I said, if this team, because we've talked about this on the show, if this team does well late in the season, does better after Thanksgiving, that they could go on a run and win 5 to 7 games. Well, the way they're playing right now, they're not getting any better. They have instances where they look like they could do something. They have instances where they look like they're putting together a team and stuff, but then it falls apart again. It's I'm sorry, I got to put this one up. This reminds me of the old joke. My wife, for some reason, got me tickets to the Titans Saints game for my birthday. I don't know what I did wrong. She won't tell me. The old gallows humor for the Saints in the 70s was, I had 2 tickets to the Saints game on the dash of my car, and somebody broke in, left 2 more.
2 more.
Yeah. So, I forgot, I lost my train of thought on this one. Oh, so, I just don't understand why this team, and I equated this a while back on a Good, Bad, and Ugly I did. It's like the Tex Avery cartoons. That's the one, the cartoonist who has the bug eyes and the jaw drops and everything else. He did Tom and Jerry, did those kind of things. But anyway, it's like a Tex Avery cartoon where you plug your finger in a dike. Okay. In this case, penalties. Okay. So we stop the penalties, but now we have injuries. Okay. We stop the injuries. We're fully healthy. Now it's fumbles, turnovers. I got that one. And suddenly now you're going all over the place, plugging holes, till eventually the whole thing cracks and falls apart, and the water comes down, and all that's left is the guy sitting there with his finger in one hole, and just the plaster is left around the finger while he's soaking wet and the water has flooded the city. That's what it feels like when you watch the Saints play. It's like, okay, how are they going to beat themselves today? Is it going to be penalties? Are we going to give up big plays? Are we not going to be able to score? Are we going to miss field goals? Are we, what? How will we find a way to lose a winnable game? And that's what I felt like watching the Atlanta game, because it was like there was so many opportunities to win the game, and you didn't do it, and you found a way to lose. I'm not even mad about the 2 plays after 2nd and 24, 2 plays for the touchdowns. I'm like, what does it matter? we're not going to beat 16 points.
Right.
You know, so I mean, that just means we can go home early.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I blame again play calling because you left 17 to 20 points on the field.
Yeah.
Because of bad execution, missed field goals. I mean, this is the way I started the show. The good, bad, and ugly. Yeah, Sunday. You go on defense first, which I'm fine with.
Mm-hmm.
You make Atlanta go 3 and out. They get nothing. You get the ball. Okay. First play, you try and run a play action pass, and you have the ball out too far. Kamara kicks the ball or hits the ball with his hip, fumble. Falcons get the ball in the red zone. They get -1 yard and kick a long field goal, 3-0. Fine. Now it's the kickoff. Mason Tipton gets the ball, runs all the way down to inside the 10 or the 15-yard line. I don't remember exactly where it was. You got nothing out of that. You lost yards and you missed the field goal. And it was like, from that point, I'm like, what? We're not going to do anything today, are we? You know? Yeah. That should have been an easy touchdown. That should have been a touchdown right there. 7-3, momentum shifts. Atlanta goes, here we go again. You know, even a tweet I saw right when we got the ball down that far down the field was, well, you can't beat him 28-3 unless you let him score 3 points. And I'm like, yeah, this is what we're going to do today because we're going to put up points. But no, Bob, where do you want to blame this? Is it talent? Is it coaching? Is it execution, or is it all three?
It's all three. Yeah, check. Throw in lack of discipline. Throw in front office and scouting department because they are the ones that help put this talent on the field. It's everything. Yeah, I think we should still be at least mildly excited about some of the young players on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Shough. I still love this secondary. Justin Reid, welcome to the 2025 NFL season.
Yeah.
Demario Davis may or may not be a Saint next year. Just in case, folks, I would enjoy watching him while you can because he is still playing really well. Cam Jordan is quietly playing some very good football too. Carl Granderson is on the side of a milk carton somewhere and has been for the last 6 or 8 weeks. But Cam has really stepped up. Chase Young. Chase Young, I think, playing the best football of his career.
Yeah.
There are individuals to be excited about for the New Orleans Saints. Calvin Banks had played an awful game against the Falcons. But a really exciting rookie. Fuaga, when he gets back on the field, this team potentially has a pair of bookend tackles for the next 8 or 10 years if they play their cards right.
Mm-hmm.
But then you say that, and in the same breath, then you circle back to, do you really have the confidence for the scouting department, Mickey Loomis, and these coaches to fill in the hundreds of cracks on this team? Do you really have the confidence in the coaches to develop the talent that is given to them? The answer now, for me anyway, is a resounding no. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong. But it doesn't feel like it. Just feels like a vicious not vicious circle, a vicious downhill spiral where you're picking up speed as you do spiral downhill. It feels like a mess right now.
It's frustrating because you feel like you're close. John Butler said it right. It's the opposite of 2009 season where they found ways to win. This team finds ways to lose. And you feel like you're close. You can if you just call better plays, if you just execute better, you don't commit the penalties, you don't do the mistakes, you should um you should be able to get over the hump and put some wins together. But you keep feeling like it's not going to happen because someone's going to make the mistake. And it's usually the veterans that are making the mistakes. That's what's even more frustrating. It's the veterans that, you know, Justin Reid gets a lot of credit for, you know, picking off the ball, running back for a touchdown. But he also is late reacting to plays, and he kind of leaves Kool-Aid McKinstry out to dry sometimes.
Oh yeah, I mean that touchdown pass to Mooney.
Yeah.
I know McKinstry was beat, but yeah, the safety absolutely left him out to dry.
Yeah. The safety plays, I think it was Sanker in this case, but the
Yeah.
safety plays the ball like he's supposed to. He probably has in a good position to pick it off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you
before it
sitting
gets
up in
there.
the stands on Sunday, you probably saw that thing coming from a million miles away.
Absolutely. Well, and once again, here's where the teams are making mistakes. The Saints make the mistake. You sack Kirk Cousins 3 or 4 times in the first half. Second half, you're dropping off all these people in coverage, or you're not even pressuring.
Right.
There's no blitzing. He cannot move. The guy cannot run. All you got to do is get in his face, and you let him sit back there. That touchdown pass happened because he had no pressure.
Mm-hmm.
He got to stand back there and launch it. I just, that's the mistakes I'm talking about. And I don't know if that's coaching or it's they're in the wrong defense or they were expecting something else and they jumped that instead. I don't know what it is. You know, you pretty much contained Bijan Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
I know he had the big catch and run to set up that touchdown. There was a little block, but whatever. I'm not even good. No, I saw it. That's what sprung him, but they don't call that anymore. I mean, when's the last time you have ever seen a clip called in the NFL?
It's not on a special teams play.
Yeah.
I don't know because, like you said, yeah, and I yell for it every single week, every single game I watch, but it's non-existent.
Yeah, it used to be if you saw the name on the back of the jersey, don't block, because if you block, that's going to be a clip. Well, they just do it. They don't care. Unless it's on a kick. Yeah, right. Unless it's on special teams. It's the only time they see it. And the Alvin Kamara thing, my daughter is screaming, hip drop tackle, hip drop tackle. I looked at him like, that's borderline horse collar, because it looked like Caden Ellis had his hand in his jersey up around the nameplate. And that's why he pulled him down and bent his leg back. But regardless, no hip drop penalty called. So that's just a common theme with officiating in general. It's not limited to the Saints. I think officiating across the league is garbage.
Yeah.
I see pass interference calls with Detroit called, and that was totally ridiculous. I've seen people complain about there's the Chiefs that are on right now, but they complain about the Chiefs. The Chiefs get terrible calls, so it's officiating across the league.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the Saints. But I don't know how to fix so many players screwing up or doing the wrong thing, because I don't know who's responsible for it. I can only guess. And defensively, it feels like Staley calls up the dogs too many times.
Yep.
And I don't know why he does it. Maybe he's afraid to blitz too often, but it's like it's working. Keep blitzing until they stop it, And offensively, Moore just calls random plays, whatever's on his sheet, and then he kind of gets in this mindset, and he's even admitted it a couple times. Yeah, I call the same play too many times. It's like the kid with Madden, and the Texas route works. You know, you get in the defense because they're in cover 2. I'm eating them up with the Texas route. So I'm going to keep calling the Texas route until they go to cover 3 robber. And now all of a sudden that play doesn't work anymore, and I don't know what the hell to call. And that's what Kellen Moore feels like sometimes when he's calling plays. I mean, is that what it looks like to you?
Oh yeah, 100%. The only difference is between the kid playing Madden. At least they're having some success with those early plays.
Yeah.
Kellen Moore doesn't, but he keeps calling the same play. Kellen Moore is the definition of insanity right now.
Yeah.
By doing the same thing over and over again. And Brandon Staley is the opposite of that. He's the he's the bizarro world for success. I'm having success doing this, so I'm going to stop doing this and then do something completely different, and then wonder why that doesn't work.
Right. It's just like, well, they're not going to possibly keep doing the same thing because they're not limited, and but they are limited. Brandon, no, they're not limited. They're going to figure out something else. So I better get ready for what they're not going to call and put that defense on the field. So this time when they run off tackle that I've been shutting down all game, he's going to break it for a nice one because I don't have enough bodies on that side of the field. Yeah, it's frustrating. Okay. So, and right on cue, the Saints addressed one issue. They got rid of Blake Grupe. Grupe had a very nice thing to say in his goodbye to the Saints. He appreciated it and he likes the fans. And I think his wife and he just bought a house here in town too.
Over the summer during training camp they did.
Yeah. Blake Grupe, I did a thing on Twitter, the top 5 most accurate kickers, and Blake Grupe, I did it based off of 100 kicks or more, and Blake Grupe was 6 short of 100 kicks, so he doesn't make the list. But prior to this season, if you do less than 100 kicks, you say you do 75 kicks or whatever, Blake Grupe was in our top 5 most accurate kickers, ahead of Hall of Famer Morton Anderson. Now, because of this season where he's kicking 69%, he went down from like 83 or 85% down to 79%, which is still higher than Morton Anderson's career as a Saint of 77%. Different era. I know that, kickoffs and kicking is changed even since Morton Anderson stopped playing. But Blake Grupe was actually a very solid kicker for us for about 2.5 of his 3 years here.
Yeah.
I know you're not sad to see him go because it was time to go, but what are your thoughts on Grupe and then his replacement, Cade York?
I'm a little sad because I like Blake Grupe legitimately. He's a good guy, young guy. I think he'll bounce back somewhere and have at least a solid career, and I'm rooting for him too. But I'm sad it didn't work out because you made the decision, and of course all the Saints hindsighters are saying, oh, they should have never let go of Will Lutz. Most of those people were saying the year before they did let go of Lutz, you got to get rid of Lutz. And Lutz, for my money, is the best kicker in Saints history. Better than I'd take him in the clutch over Morton Anderson.
He's actually number 1 on the list. It's Lutz, it's John Carney, Doug Bryan, I forgot who's the other one, and Morton Anderson. There's 5 of them. There's somebody else. It's not because it's 100 kicks or more. Let me look real quick. But yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just interrupted you there.
No, it's all right. And like you said, I completely agree that it was time to move on from Blake. And for what you were saying before, with all the mistakes that all the players are making, you can't cut everybody. But you have to, at the same time, you have to make a move or two that's going to send in a wave of accountability through that locker room to make some people at least realize that, you know what, if I don't do my job better, they might just send me packing. And I realize, okay, hey, it's only kicker, and teams get rid of kickers all the time. Well, the Saints don't, at least not in recent years. Not since Sean Payton found Will Lutz. Before that, Payton went through kickers like we go through socks. But I still think you had to make that move for that reason. Thank God they didn't sign Justin Tucker.
Ask you about him.
Yeah, so many reasons. And my segment with Jordy is on Tuesday morning, a couple hours before they officially signed York. So Tucker was still a possibility. And I countered with this. I said, okay, we all know the PR nightmare that Justin Tucker is, and Kellen Moore added to that heap by the garbage that he spewed out of his mouth. That I don't even want to get into that. It's so critical of Moore already. But my logic was this. I said, if you're a playoff contention team, or even if you're like a 5-6 team that could climb your way back into the playoffs, okay, then maybe you take that PR hit and you bring in Justin Tucker. Because you clearly needed an upgrade over Blake Grupe. But you're 2-9. You're not going anywhere. There is zero reason to bring in that soap opera. You find someone else. You find anyone else. You sign an elementary school kid, for your place kicker. But you don't take on the PR hit.
Yeah. So here's the list here, and I forgot this guy. He bumped himself back into the list because of Grupe missing so many kicks this year. Will Lutz, 84.6%, number one. John Carney, 82.8%, number two. Doug Bryan, 82.6%. So we only talking about 0.2% between Carney and Bryan. Garrett Hartley is still on the list because he's got over 100 attempts. He is 81.2%. I think Blake Grupe was right there with him. Then Morton Anderson rounds out the top five, 100 kicks or more as a Saint, 77.6. So, Grupe went down. I don't know what it was prior to the season beginning, but I know it was in the 80s. But he's now down to 79.8, so he's still ahead of Morton Anderson. And you mentioned the fact that people were ready to kick Lutz out because he got injured in 2021. So he missed the entire 2021 season. And in 2022, when he came back, he wasn't hitting very many kicks. In fact, he was 23 or 31. So he missed 8 field goals, just like Grupe did. So he's only hitting 74% of his kicks that whole season. So it's fans ready to kick Lutz out the door. They were very happy Grupe's first year here. Now you got some that was still remembering, like Morton Anderson, the Great Dane lifting his leg. They remember the good kicks. They kind of memory hole the missed kicks, but there were a lot of kicks, extra points too, where the ball went that way. And people are like, what the hell's wrong with Lutz? What's going on? And because now he's with Sean Payton in Denver, in that thin atmosphere, he's able to boom these kicks, and and I think this is going to happen with Blake Grupe. He's going to get with a team, and he'll suddenly get his groove back, and he'll start hitting them, and people will be like, oh, typical Loomis. We get rid of a guy. We got this crap kicker now, and the guy we used to have is doing real well because we're going to memory hole 2024 or 2025. I said it's life of the kicker in the NFL. This is what happened with kickers. Um, I agree with you on Justin Tucker. I've only mentioned his name a couple times because he was a veteran kicker. He's the most well-known kicker for good and bad reasons. I mean, he was the most accurate kicker in NFL history until last year. Then he went to Deshaun Watson's massage parlors. And now, after a 10-game suspension, he is a pariah. I don't know if he can turn his career around. He's 36 years old. Chances are he's not going to. Chances are he is going to be an inconsistent kicker from now on. So I agree with you. The PR hit plus a descending kicker, it's not worth taking him on a rebuilding team. Cade York, former LSU player. I think he's Mr. Right now. I don't think he's going to be Mr. Long term, but I'm asking you, do you think, oh, by the way, this game I got on behind me right now, this is the first game I remember being at as a kid. Saints Dolphins 1974 in Tulane Stadium. But because I like the Miami Dolphins in 1974. I was a kid. So,
Right.
they were in the Super Bowl. They were always on TV. So
Yeah.
I like Larry Zonka, so you get to run people over, and I enjoyed that. But anyway, let's see. Okay, I'm sorry. I've been missing these comments. But anyway, Cade York. What can you say about Cade York? What do you know about him?
He's a kicker with some range. I mean, he's hit some long field goals in his career, but he's been really erratic too. I know the percentage is his field goal percentage is solid. It's in the low 80s for his career. But look at the individual results where he has been. He's missed some key field goals. Now, I mean, having said that, like you just said, that's life of the kicker in the NFL. You'll go through little swoons. You'll have your rocky moments. Some kickers bounce around to 2 or 3 teams before they finally find a forever home. Cade will be given his chances. Down the stretch, because I think the Saints and Tyler Shough will continue to move the football in stretches to at least get into field goal range, which at this stage isn't a bad thing because you show some development from Shough, and maybe you get some opportunities for York to show whether he can be your future kicker. Like you said, I don't think the Saints had any designs on. Cade York is our next kicker, period, and end of story when they signed him. But if he has a good stretch run, then that's a position that the Saints don't necessarily have to prioritize, and they wouldn't prioritize it with a high draft choice anyway. But I mean, even a late draft choice, you want to avoid using on a kicker if you can.
Absolutely. Now, Charlie Smith is still on the practice squad. In fact, both these guys were signed to the practice squad. They released Blake Grupe, but apparently York and Smith are going to battle this out. Now, for those of you who don't remember, Smith is the international player who's been on the practice squad now for 2 years. I think it's a shot, but I kind of lean towards, since York's kicked in NFL games, he probably, and this is the other reason why they brought him in with Tucker, is they wanted a kicker who's kicked an actual NFL game, who's felt that pressure and can probably do those kickoffs, because that's the other big thing, getting the kicks to land in the landing zone. Atlanta couldn't do it. Atlanta's kicker kept kicking it in the end zone for touchback, so we're getting into the 35. They've been dying to get kickers to kick it and get it to land in the landing zone, and you can pin those guys deep. Do you think that Charlie Smith has a shot at kicking Sunday against the Dolphins?
A chance, yeah, but I agree with you. I think that their plan was to sign a kicker that has had NFL experience, Yeah, so I think York is going to get the first chance. Now there's six games left. Is that right?
Yeah, six.
Six.
They played 12 weeks. Yeah, 6 more games. 8.
Yeah,
No,
so I mean,
7.
if Cade struggles for a game or two, then they'll probably demote him and then bring Charlie back up. But I feel pretty strongly that Cade is going to get the initial shot here.
Yeah, that's my feeling too, because it's all about experience right now. He's got enough young players out there he's trying to evaluate that he doesn't need to worry about the kicker too, kicking the ball out of bounds, giving it to them on the 40, or kicking it in the end zone for touchbacks and giving it to them on the 35. And that really is driving a lot of this. And people have been pointing out now, well, you've been all over Grupe. Let's not forget about Kai Kroger. He's the lowest rated punter in the league.
Oh, we haven't. We've talked about how awful he has been. At this point, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. I don't know what happened to my camera. Bear with.
Oh, and he froze completely.
At this point, Kroger has been so consistently awful that there's no sense bringing him up every week anymore because nothing has changed.
Yeah. And again, and this is what I said with Grupe, once you get on the kicker carousel, we've been on the punter carousel. And we have not been able to find a good punter since we let Morstead walk. And it's frustrating because you're like, 40-year-old Thomas Morstead would probably be better than any kicker that we can find. I think this is a one and done for the special teams coach. We're talking about Moore, whether or not Moore should be on staff or the head coach of this team for next year. We really need to get rid of a lot of the staff that he's got right now, because I think, and I felt this way when he was putting the staff together so late, I think he has to replace some of his assistants. They have to be the sacrificial lambs. You've got to make changes on your staff.
I feel that's going to happen. Which it typically does. With a first time head coach. If they don't have immediate success. And there's going to be scapegoats because there's going to be people that want Kellen Moore on the hot seat immediately. And I agree with you. I don't think that's going to happen. I think I think Moore should be on the radar for being on the hot seat after this year. Whether or not that happens remains to be seen. But there's going to be some assistants that are going to be the sacrificial lambs, special teams coach, no doubt, probably a couple offensive assistants, not named Doug Nussmeier, but Nussmeier, Brandon Staley are probably safe because they're friends of Moore and there's a comfort level there. I'd like to see, even though I've been critical of the defense when it comes to situational football, both you and I like the fact that under Staley, the Saints brought in a lot of college assistant coaches. So I'd like to see them grow into that role a little bit. But offensively, Nussmeier included, even though he's not going to go anywhere, I'd love to see them clean house.
I like to see Nussmeier demoted to quarterbacks coach. And I'd like for Staley, for Moore to give up offensive play calling and get a true offensive coordinator, because I think right now Moore is a little overwhelmed calling plays and trying to be head coach. I think he's got too many voices in his helmet or his headset, and he's a little too distracted. So he gets in that habit of calling the same plays over and over and over again because he's not thinking about the offense or really paying attention to the flow of the game. He's more or less calling plays that he saw in practice that they ran well, if that makes any sense. Because that's what sure as hell feels like to me. No,
and that makes a lot of sense. And we see a lot of We see that happen to a lot of head coaches, especially offensive-minded head coaches. It didn't really happen with Sean, and you remember this. People were calling for Sean to give up play calling. Ironically, going into the 2011 season. And that was that was one of the best offenses in NFL history. But we've seen it happen. It happened with Andy Reid for a while. In Philadelphia, and it happened with tons of other assistants. So I'm with you. I would like to see more give up that play calling, but I don't want to see it fall to Doug Nussmeier.
No, and that's where I'd like to see him bring in somebody else, an offensive assistant that he is comfortable with, that he knows. He can still design the game plan, still design the offense. It's just a matter of calling the right plays at the right time and using the personnel properly. Sean was a master at using personnel, but Moore just doesn't have it. So those are some changes I'd like to see him do, and I think he'll be more successful in the long term. I just don't know who is going to be that guy. Is it Scott Tolzien? I don't know. Can we get one of the Braun brothers from Louisville?
Oh, I'd love that.
And have him work with Tyler and call the offense, because, he and Moore, they were kind of, I don't want to say they're close. That's not accurate, but they were on the same wavelength, and that's why we have Tyler Shough on this team.
Yeah.
So I would like to see something like that happen. I just don't know who that guy is going to be. But I do want to see a change, because I think just getting a play caller who has a better feel for personnel and a better feel for what they want to do in designing the game plan and also executing on Sunday would help out tremendously. It just feels like there's too much chaos right now.
Yeah, and you bring up an interesting angle too. Tyler Shough played for Braun at Louisville, and played in a similar system with Texas Tech and had some success, injuries aside. And that's why one of the reasons why I liked the pick of Shough so much, because I thought the systems at Texas Tech, Louisville, and even Oregon were similar to the systems, the up-tempo systems that Moore has shown that he wants to run, even in New Orleans. So maybe check out who was on the staff when Shough was there at Texas Tech. Check out Brom's staff. Maybe look for a young guy, to bring in. And again, you could title him whatever, passing game coordinator, or whatever you want to do, or whatever title you want to throw at him. But at least split up that play calling responsibility, because I agree with you. I'm not ready to get. I'm angry at Kellen Moore. I'm very frustrated and infuriated with him, but I'm not ready to give up on him just yet. Just like several other players on the team, there's so many and coaches, there's so many of you want to kick to the curb because you want to be right that they shouldn't have hired this person, or they shouldn't have drafted or signed this person. I'm rooting for my team to win. So whether Moore was my guy for the head coach or not originally is irrelevant. I want to see the team succeed, and you have a better chance for success sooner rather than later with the current infrastructure into place.
Yeah, because here's the thing, the usual suspects are out there saying, well, you're never going to win Mickey Loomis as GM. Well, Mickey Loomis isn't going anywhere until he decides.
Right.
You're never going to win because Gail owns the team. Well, Gail's going to own this team until she's dead. And then when she's dead, Mickey Loomis and Dennis Losher run the decision-making to see who gets to buy the team. So if they don't want to leave, they're going to pick the person that's going to own the team.
Right.
So they're not going to get fired by the person they pick.
Right.
So, so you're praying for Gail to sell or die? That's not going to happen. It's not going to work out the way you want it to. I know what they want. They want, and I see it. I see it on Twitter. I see it on Facebook. You know, they want somebody to come in like Rita. They even talk about Rita. Rita
Yeah.
taking back control of the team and settle all family business. You know, by taking out Loomis and Lasha and Ben Hales and the guy who runs the tickets. Even, you know, just wipe them all out. You know, all of them. You know, just fully clean house. It's not going to work that way.
Nope.
You know, the 5 families have a firm hold on this team, this club, and you're not going to like what happens when the godmother dies, because it's not going to turn out the way you want it to. Todd Graves is not going to save this team. Rita Benson is not going to save this team because she's nuts.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, no, let's return from La La Land. You know, somebody, Jimmy Gumbo's asking, is this finally the end of the black helmets? I hope so. You know, they're not winning with any of these new looks and stuff like that. I mean, they gave the fans what they wanted to see. Actually, my favorite look so far has been the white helmet with the color rush.
I like the black helmet with the gold jerseys. Actually, I liked it more than I thought I did. And the all black, the black from head to toe look was sleek.
Yes.
And yeah, to answer your question, Jimmy Gumbo, because even teams without black in their team colors have the black jerseys or black helmets, and it's so ridiculous. That no, I don't think that this combination is going anywhere. I don't know how many times we'll see it. We probably won't see it again this year, but it'll probably be in the rotation for at least one more year.
But you know, when I was looking at the Carolina game again, and maybe because it was outside, and that helps a lot. But the color rush, the white helmet, I like the gold face mask. The gold face mask looked really, really good.
It did.
So Hemisphere says one of his goals was that Kellen Moore would get the team playing better and better as the year goes along. Right now, he's failed that expectation, and the team's regressed. But on the other hand, get that one to pop up. They lack talent in a lot of areas, so I knew this year was going to be a struggle. But I will say that I like the draft class. I think very highly of the draft class. Matthew and I, when we did the show 2 weeks ago, we talked about this. Banks is a keeper. He'll be a stud left tackle for the next 10 years. Shough, I really like what I see out of Shough so far. Sanker, Riley, both like centerpieces, cornerstones of the new secondary. Brockton got hurt, so we don't know anything about Brockton. Stutzman is getting more and more playing time. I like Stutzman. Devin Neal is your best blitz pickup running back, and he runs pretty hard to be a good alternative back. I like what I see out of him.
Yeah.
Now the tight end and the edge rusher from Syracuse, we saw them a little bit early in the season. If they can be rotational depth pieces and stuff, that's still a huge home run compared to, you look at 2018 to 2023, those draft class, 2024 even, those draft classes, maybe one guy, two guys out of the entire class, and it's not that many people or even contributors on this team. It looks like you really hit a solid triple, if not an in-park home run with this draft class so far.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like the draft class too. I liked the Banks pick was necessary. Whether we liked it or not, they needed to fill a hole there. I make no secret that I made no secret at the time that I liked the pick of Shough. And I liked Riley and Stutzman too. Sanker, who I was highly critical of, he's playing really well, making some mistakes back there, but that you expect that with a young secondary. So far, I liken this draft class to their 2016 class.
Yeah.
When they brought in, Rankins was the number one pick, but you got Michael Thomas, you got Von Bell, you got David Onyemata.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you followed that. Everybody talks about the 2017 draft, and that was huge. Don't get me wrong. But the 2016, draft really helped set the foundation,
Mm-hmm.
for that jump ahead in 2017. Now you're going to have to follow that up with another really good draft class, if you're going to continue to have, not continue to, if you're going to start to head in the right direction for this rebuild. But yeah, I mean, I think you have some really solid pieces to build on with this draft class, and don't forget about Simpkins too, the undrafted free agent, who it boggles my mind why we haven't seen more of him, in place of either guard spot.
Well, I'm ready to kick Riley. Not Riley. I'm sorry, kick Ruiz to the bench because I'm tired of seeing the turnstile.
Yeah.
You for every one play that he does well on run blocking, he is just totally lost on pass blocking, lunging, missing, just not knowing where the guy's coming from. He does a spin move, and it's like, I've never seen this before in my life. What did he just do? So yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to just roll with Simpkins in that spot right now. I agree, Calvin. We need a big ass nose tackle, space eater in the worst way. Somebody who takes up all that stuff.
Yeah.
I want another edge rusher because as much as I like what Chase Young is doing, I want Chase Young where Cam Jordan is playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I want an elite pass rusher there
mm-hmm.
on the edge, coming off that edge. Just somebody where, like a Jared Verse, somebody where you're going, I got to contain this guy. I can't stop him, but I got to figure out how to contain this guy. Reese from Ohio State looks like he could be the guy, someone like that. Yeah, I agree. Hemisphere says, Alan, Bob, Nick Underhill makes huge point about not using Shough in the red zone. It's a pattern he's noticed when Rattler was starting. Has the Taysom package played itself out? It hasn't played itself out yet, but Taysom's 35. He's not as explosive as he used to be.
Yeah.
The offensive line isn't as good. And I don't think Moore and Nussmeier quite know how to use Taysom in a way that the entire defense just doesn't load up the box and you run right into the teeth of that defense.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And yeah, I'm not saying take Taysom Hill off the field. He still has some value, but do some different things with him, and leave your developmental quarterback on the field, because one of the things that you want to see from him is, can he fit throws into tight windows in the red zone?
Mm-hmm.
When everything is constricted. And there's a whole lot more physicality that is allowed by the officials. You want to see if Tyler Shough can convert some of those plays into the end zone, and it's impossible. It's impossible to say that he has or hasn't. Well, they haven't, but it's impossible to say that he hasn't, because he hasn't really been given the fair opportunity yet.
Right. And, you're getting Valet more into the offense. I thought he had a pretty good game against the Falcons. This is when you need to see if Valet can go in and fight for these contested catches. Let's see a corner shot, a fade route into the end zone. Let's see a back shoulder throw. Let's see these little, like the infamous crossing pattern right there at the 1 yard line, where it's a rub, not a pick, but it's a pick play, and you get somebody to pop open and see Shough hit those passes. The Taysom package has only played itself out because they made it so damn predictable and so easy to defend. Using Taysom as a decoy, taking advantage of the predictability would be a great way. And let Shough run a bootleg and let him run into the end zone. Like I said, I thought he got it the first time when they marked him down at the 1 foot line. Need a DeMario successor. Yes, we do. I just don't know when that guy is going to show up. That's the problem. DeMarco Jackson, your favorite guy from Appalachian State, Dennis Allen picked him up, and he made like 10 tackles with the Bears. So they tried, but DeMario just won't go away. So I still think they need I think they need a third corner, for depth. I'm still not out on Kool-Aid McKinstry because he makes good plays, but he makes a lot of bad ones right now. I want to see if he grows past it. Riley is a rookie. I like Riley. Alontae Taylor, they were thinking about trading him. Now they're probably going to extend him. But I still want another inside corner. Get a kicker. I agree with you. That's an off-season thing. One doesn't pass for a middle schooler. And this is the last thing. Chris Bell out of Louisville. I'm hearing a lot of him too. Nick Underhill's been talking him up a lot. Cornell Tate. There's
Concepcion from Concepcion I like a lot.
Yeah, Concepcion would be a great second-round pick, especially if you're picking in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be an incredible pick. Tight end, I'm still gung-ho for, but I don't know if there's a good tight end in this draft class.
I love the kid from NC State. He's basically a big-bodied wideout, but he can get open as an inline tight end, something that Juwan Johnson cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
A guy like that. I haven't looked deeply at the draft class yet. A few wide receivers, a few defensive backs and edge rushers. Because I'm like you, I think I love the way Chase Young is playing, but he's still not the guy.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the guy, Chase Young is going to be a 10 sack a year guy. Because he's just going to have so much single one-on-one blocking, and he's going to feast on that.
And they're going to roll towards him, his side, and shorten the distance for him.
Yeah,
because his issue's always been being a closer. If you got somebody coming with piss and vinegar from the blind side, they're going to roll towards Chase Young, get the hell away from that guy, and Chase Young waiting right there. That's what you want. That's what you need. I'm the only tight end I've really been paying attention to is the kid from Vanderbilt, Stowers. And I think mainly because I just want to listen to Jim Morris say Stowers. That old clip. So, okay. Question here. At what point will you guys feel like Shough is or is not our starting quarterback for next season? Do we possibly need to draft the Indiana quarterback with number 1 overall pick?
Listen, you got to evaluate Shough through each of these last 6 games, and evaluate him on a little bit of a curve because of the lack of talent around him and the play calling issues that we've been talking about all night. But I think you give Shough all 6 games of this evaluation. Hopefully, knock on wood, he stays healthy, and then you literally evaluate each and every single snap he has, because you're not. And you said it before, Alan. So many teams, not named the Cleveland Browns, so many teams get so few opportunities to pick in the top 2 or 3 that. If you are there and you don't have your bona fide franchise quarterback, you're forced to have to go get one, regardless of how good or bad the quarterback class is. So I am hoping that Shough proves himself to be at least a starter with high enough quality that you feel comfortable with him going into next year while you continue to rebuild the team around. So yeah, I think you evaluate every single snap. You give him every single possible snap, every single possible situation, red zone especially. And then you sit down. You sit down with all of your offensive coaches and evaluate all of that at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you need to give him more chances to score in the red zone. Yeah, 15 plus play drives to get inside the 5. And you didn't get any points. You got a field goal out of one of them. Then you had that other one, the missed field goal that, again, bad play calling. I want to see him throw the ball in those tight windows. I like what I see out of Shough so far.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like that he does. It will be tough to pass up on Mendoza, but if you feel like Shough played well enough that you can afford to draft an edge rusher instead, then you take him. Or you could trade down maybe just a few spots just to get the extra picks because you need the picks to build your team. So it's tough right now. I want to be in a position where we don't need a quarterback.
Yeah.
Not next year. We'll see in 2027. But, I love Mendoza, but we need too many pieces. We need too many things. We ain't even talking about the Dolphins. It's not even worth talking about the Dolphins, really.
No.
But, yeah, because it doesn't matter. Really, it's all about, can we do the things we're supposed to do? You have a Bayou Blitz coming up this week?
Brendan and I haven't not talked about not having one. Usually it travel or lately my technology has been the issues. I believe we are planning on having one tentatively tomorrow. If we don't, then it'll be pushed back to Friday or the weekend because we're not going to do it on Thanksgiving night. But stay tuned for Brendan. Lately has been having to make the announcements because of my technology issues. So stay tuned to Brendan Boylan's account or mine. If there are any changes. But yeah, we're hopeful to have one tomorrow evening.
Good deal. Okay, so we got Thanksgiving on Thursday. We got 3 games Thursday. We have a game on Friday.
Yeah.
And college football Saturday. So I don't think there's any NFL games this Saturday. Then the Sunday slate, Monday night, and all the rest. We're getting close to the end of college football season. Bowl season is going to be starting up soon next month. I can't believe it. The championship weekend will be in 2 weeks. So it'll be time to start talking about the draft because a lot of people just start watching college prospects championship weekend
now, right?
Bowl games, So because a lot of people have never even watched Mendoza, which is amazing, or Avril Reese from Ohio State, or the guy with the short arms, the edge rusher from Miami. I just forgot his name. But
Ruben Bain, yeah.
Ruben Bain, yeah. So I mean, watch college football this Saturday. I'm saying what I'm saying. There's a lot of important games. You kind of start seeing some of the players that you're looking at. Get on the internet, Google some of these guys, top 5 receivers, top 5 tight ends. Find the games that are on. You can watch those things, and we can kind of have a good conversation. Yeah, Bama, Auburn week, Oklahoma, LSU week.
Ohio State, Michigan.
Yeah. Is it Ohio State, Michigan this weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is it at the Horseshoe or is it at Michigan? I think it's in Ohio. No, it's in Michigan this year.
I believe it is. Yeah, I believe it's in. I believe it's in the big Hass.
Yeah. So, big weekend. Okay, let me see one last thing here from Hemisphere. I just hate to see them go into the draft like they need a particular position of need, like tackle with the first pick. Yeah, they're not going to take a tackle this year. I'd rather see them get a pass rusher or a top wide receiver that first pick. Depends on whether or not they can trade down, and depends on where they end up. I
Mhm.
mean, I hate to say it, in a few weeks, that Tennessee Saints game may be for the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah. Or Jets
Um,
Saints.
Yeah. Or Jets Saints, correct. But yeah, it may be for the number 1 overall pick. The Saints lose those 2 games. We will have the number 1 overall pick for the second time in franchise history. 1980 was the only other time because we traded our number 1 overall pick away in 1967, the expansion year.
Yep.
So, it is at Michigan. Okay, it's at Michigan. All right. Okay. All right, Bob. Thank you guys all for joining us. Glad we were able to kind of work through your technological problems. I broke my microphone, my little connection here, so I'm been yelling into the microphone. I will get this fixed before next week so you can hear me better. In the meantime, have a great Thanksgiving.
You too.
Bob, best to you and your family.
You too.
Happy Thanksgiving to all you guys out there. Thank you for sticking with us. Have fun. Enjoy the games. And we'll see you next time on Under the Dome. Good night, everybody.